Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we are back with another vintage crock pot recipe we're going to try out from my vintage crock pot cookbook. All right, if you're new here, hi, I'm Claire. Come on in, make yourself comfortable. We do a lot of vintage cooking on this channel, but also lots of other types of cooking. So if you are into that, be sure to hit subscribe. Now, we've done quite a few of these vintage crock pot recipes. I think they're so fun because the crock pot, of course, came out in the 1970s, freeing up women to go out and do things in the world instead of slaving over a stove all day, which we love. And this book is from 1975. And if you're not new here, you know what I'm about to pull out right now. I actually have a vintage 1970s crock pot that we're going to use. We're going to really do this authentically, okay? We're getting her out. I think I paid like $6 for it at a thrift store and it still works. I'm serious. These old crock pots, the very definition of they just don't make them like they used to. Anyway, there's a lot of great recipes in here, but the one I selected for today is pretty different than anything we've ever done because we're working with salmon. We are working, if you have this book, we're working from page 92. We are making the salmon and potato casserole. This recipe definitely sounded a bit different than anything I have ever done in a slow cooker before, but it also sounded kind of tasty. So I thought we'd give it a try. And with that, let's get into it. Salmon and potato casserole from 1975. All of the ingredients for this recipe were very easy to find. In fact, I had them all, which is another reason I chose this recipe. I didn't have to go buy anything. We have milk, we have flour, we have a can of salmon. We also have nutmeg, salt, and pepper. We're gonna use a little bit of butter. We have an onion, 4 potatoes, and 2 eggs. And while the assembly of this is pretty straightforward, we are gonna need to prep our ingredients. The first thing we're going to do is peel these potatoes and slice them very thin. Because we have other steps to do after that, I'm actually gonna put them right into a bowl of water so that they don't turn brown. In a perfect world, I would be using like a little mandolin slicer, but I don't have one. So I'm just doing it with a knife. Could they be thinner? Yes. Will this cook long enough in the crock pot that it'll be fine? Also, yes. Don't worry about it. Next, we're going to drain our can of salmon and then like fluff it up with a fork so that we can divide it easily. Now, really the only deviation from this recipe we have is that this can is like an ounce smaller than the standard can from 1975. Some classic shrinkflation, you get a little less salmon, but I think it'll be fine. I think I'm gonna make the executive decision to leave the skin on. It would be very hard to take off. It's very soft. It's not like it's scaly or anything. I think it's gonna be fine. Now we are going to beat our 2 eggs together. Now we have to chop up our onion. My least favorite part. I've talked about this on my channel a lot, and I've gotten a lot of ideas and recommendations. I'm extremely sensitive to onions, and I have tried all the things you guys have suggested, and it doesn't work. None of it works, like at all. I've done all the things. I think I don't know what it is. But I think it runs in my family because my sister says the same thing. Sometimes I'll just have my husband come in and chop the onion for me because it's like, it's not just like my eyes water, like I am in a lot of pain. So I try to do it quickly, and sometimes my onion chopping isn't the best, but it's because I literally can't see. So I don't know. I have tried all the things. If you have an idea and you leave it in the comment below, I will tell you, I have tried it. I've tried it all. Nothing makes a difference. I just have to suffer. Anyway, it's happening. My eyes! Okay, I have to go wash my hands. But there's the onion. Okay, our next preparatory situation is we are going to scald the milk. This calls for 2 cups of milk scalded. Honestly, haven't really done a lot of milk scalding in my life. Not very many recipes call for this, so I did do some research to see like, what is scalded milk and why? Why would we do it? So when we use scalded milk, what happens is you heat the milk to about 180 degrees Fahrenheit, and then you let it come down in temperature naturally until it's lukewarm. Now, first of all, in the olden days, this does kill some bacteria in it that could be harmful to you. However, what it also does, I will read it directly from Google. So you're heating it without letting it boil. The primary function is to denature the whey proteins. So this process deactivates enzymes, which creates a smoother consistency for custards and puddings. So we want our milk to get nice and smooth. That's what I'm hearing. But I do think it might take some time for it to come back down. So if you're making this at home and you don't want to do this, it's probably fine. But I really want to follow the recipe as written. So we're going to scald our milk. All right, I have a candy thermometer I'm going to use, but you could totally just use a quick read thermometer. It's probably the usual way one would do this. But I have the candy thermometer and I never use it, so I might as well do it right now. And again, we need 2 cups of milk. You know what, now that I'm thinking about it, this is exactly how I make yogurt in the Instant Pot. You heat it to 180 and then you cool it down to 110. It turns out I have been scalding milk this whole time and I didn't realize it. All right, we're at like 140. We're getting there. All right, there we go. Oh my God. The little thing fell in my milk from my thermometer. See? Oh well. Anyway, there we go. 180 degrees. Now we gotta let it cool down, which I think is gonna take some time, which is why I threw it in another container. Giving it a little stir. I'm not sure how long that will take. Just pop that back in there. And we'll see how long it takes to go back down to 110. But meanwhile, we can assemble the rest of this because the milk is like the last part. So, no worries. Wow, Claire, you should probably turn the burner off. I'm trying to burn the house down. Anyway, okay, actually, before we assemble, I'm gonna measure out my flour. We need 3 tablespoons of flour, but we're gonna do it in 2 layers. So I'm actually gonna do 1.5 tablespoons in 2 separate little bowls. That way it'll be easy when we go to make our layers. The first thing we want to do is grease this, and I am out of cooking spray, but that's okay. We're gonna go old school. We're just gonna use a bit of butter. That's probably what a lot of people would have been doing in the 70s anyway, and still today, because butter works. It's fine. As a matter of fact, it's delicious. Now we're going to place half the potatoes in the bottom. There's really no instruction on exactly how to do this, so I'm just throwing them in there. Just making sure that the bottom is covered. Now we're going to take our flour and just dust it over the top. We're also going to come in with our salt and pepper. And now we're going to come in with half of our salmon. Honestly, even though this salmon is a little bit funky, using canned salmon, or even I do like the salmon that comes in like the little pouches, it's a really affordable way to add salmon into your diet, because like fresh salmon is so expensive, you guys. And I'm not gonna be doing all that, so, unless it's on sale, of course. Anyway, now we're going to take half of our onion and sprinkle that on top. Honestly, I love all of these things, so I think this is gonna be good. Now we're going to do the same thing again. Here is our flour, salt, pepper, salmon, and onion. All right, I took a look at our milk and it's only at 130-ish degrees, right around there. Yeah, 130. So we still have a few more minutes. We need it to get down to at least 110. And then we're going to mix the eggs and the butter into our milk. We are barely there. We're at like 115. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this butter, 1 tablespoon in the microwave to melt it so that it's pre-melted. I don't know if 110 is enough to melt this quickly, so I don't want to take any chances and have a little chunk of butter in there, so I'm gonna melt it. Scalding is kind of a pain in the butt, I'm not gonna lie. Okay, all right, we're good. We're at 110. Okay, so in a very custardy-like way, we are going to stir the eggs into the milk, which is why it was important that we let it cool down, or else you would end up with scrambled eggs. Now we're going to pour this entire thing over our salmon mixture. Okay, honestly, I feel like this is gonna be so delicious. I'm not even lying. I mean, I think already at this point, if I were to make changes, I think I would add some like dill or rosemary or some more, you know, spices, but I also am okay with just the flavors of the things shining. And speaking of spices, time to add the nutmeg, because I'm sure up until this point you thought, I know exactly what this is missing, nutmeg. And it just says some nutmeg. And I know a little goes a long way. So we're just gonna add a little on top and give it a little earthy flair. Now for timing on this casserole, it does not give us an option to cook it on high. It says only cook it on low. So it's gonna take a while. It says cook on low for 7 to 10 hours. And that's also kind of a large, there's a 3-hour window there where it could be done or could not be done. But we'll check it in 7 and we'll see. I don't know if we'll be able to tell that it's done. I guess if there's any like custardy liquid floating around in there, we'll keep going, but time to plug it in. And I think this is the perfect thing for this evening because I'm heading over to my kids' school. I'm running the book fair today. So hopefully afterwards, we'll come home to a delicious salmon and potato casserole. I know my kids are gonna be so thrilled. Okay, there we go. All right, you guys, it's been 7 hours. My whole kitchen smells like salmon, but let's take a look and see if she's done. All right, a little juicier than expected. The custardy bit seems to have set, but let me stab a potato in there. The potatoes are still a little bit hard. I mean, I could stab through it, but I think it should be softer. I'm gonna let it go another hour or so and then we'll see. All right, you guys, it has been 9 hours and we are going to eat this salmon potato casserole now. It's not pretty, I'm not gonna lie. Not the most aesthetic thing we have created on this channel, even for a vintage recipe, which sometimes can get sort of fun in the presentation. There she is, a little greasy, but you know, salmon is a fattier fish, it's fine. Let's get in there. The potatoes look nice and done and tender. I will say, any type of greenery would have made this better. Some parsley on top, some rosemary. Again, with the dill, it would have looked nice. But it is what it is, and we're gonna try it. And as always, my husband Gianni is going to be trying this with us.
That smells crazy.
Also, I did not make any dinner. Like, this is what I have.
Okay.
This is what I made. Make sure I'm getting a nice...
Yeah, make sure you get all the flavors.
A nice medley of all the bits.
Together.
I think it's good.
Of course you would.
I think it's good, it's just under-seasoned.
Oh.
It's fine.
Okay.
It's so just salmon.
One thing about me is I don't like hot fish that much. Actually.
Hot fish? You
That's
like cold
fried.
fish?
I don't like hot fish that's not fried fish.
Yeah, we do like a fish dip. A dip situation is a vibe, like a cold.
Okay.
Okay. You can do it.
No. All right, are we ready?
I'm ready.
Oh God.
It's not, it doesn't even have that much flavor.
It's terrible.
It's not terrible.
Oh my God.
No.
Oh.
I like it. I think saltier, butterier, dill, rosemary. The idea of a can of salmon with some soft potatoes and onions makes total sense in my mind. I wouldn't probably put it on the menu because I think I'm the only person who would eat it.
Don't. I will say, texturally, it's awful.
Thank you for your 2 cents, Risper.
You're welcome.
See you next time. I actually would really love anyone to comment if they eat a like fish type casserole and if that's a vibe. Because I also feel like maybe cheese isn't the right thing. It's missing something sort of savory and fatty. I think maybe if there was more butter, the creamy sauce should have been creamier. Maybe more like a bechamel situation. But I would love to hear if there is like a tried and true recipe in your family, from your mother, from your grandmother, someone in your life that's like a fish casserole, because I'm kind of into it. I am not mad at this. Just more seasoning and we'd be good to go. And there you go, another vintage recipe in the books. I hope you enjoyed this one. I do love an old crock pot recipe. I think it's very fun to taste the past, how the writers of the book intended, of the makers of the real crock pot intended it to be used. I think it's so much fun. So if you want to see more of these videos, I have a playlist of all of my vintage recipes. I will link it down below if you want to, I don't know, have a binge. And yeah, be sure you're subscribed and come back for more content like this, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!